Welcome to Startups. I'm your host, Aiden Spark. Today on Startups, what if the very thing that makes you different is the key to changing the world? Today, we uncover how one man's struggle to communicate sparked a revolution, and what his silence can teach you about finding your own powerful voice. A distorted voice crackles through the air, struggling to form words. The year is 2013, and Larry Page, CEO of one of the world's most powerful companies, can barely speak above a whisper. The cruel irony isn't lost on anyone. The man who revolutionized how billions communicate now fights to make his own voice heard. But to understand this moment, we need to travel back to a cluttered bedroom in East Lansing, Michigan, where an 8-year-old boy sits surrounded by dismantled electronics and dog-eared science magazines. The air hums with the whir of cooling fans and the sharp scent of ozone from overheated circuit boards. Young Larry Page isn't just playing, he's searching for something that will take him decades to find. You know that feeling when your mind races faster than your words can follow. For Larry, this wasn't just an occasional frustration, it was his daily reality. Born to computer science professors, he grew up in a household where algorithms were dinner table conversation, and the steady beep of dial-up modems served as a lullaby. His childhood bedroom tells the story. Carefully organized chaos of computer parts, each piece labeled and categorized with scientific precision. While other kids played sports or watched TV, Larry spent countless hours trying to teach machines to talk. Not because he wanted to be different, but because machines spoke a language he understood better than human words. The words followed him through school halls, but Larry wasn't built for normal. His mind worked in patterns and connections that others couldn't see. When classmates saw a computer, he saw possibilities. When teachers saw a quiet, awkward student, he was quietly revolutionizing how he thought about information flow. This is where you might see yourself in Larry's story. Perhaps you felt that nagging sensation that your brain is wired differently, that your ideas don't fit into neat, conventional boxes. Larry's early years weren't just about being different. They were about the slow, painful process of realizing that different could be powerful. Fast forward to Stanford University, 1995. The internet is exploding, but it's also drowning in its own chaos. Larry, now a PhD student, sees something everyone else has missed. He doesn't just want to add to the noise, he wants to organize it, make it accessible, make it useful. Enter Sergey Brin, another brilliant outsider who speaks Larry's language of logic and possibility. Together, they begin working on a project that would eventually become Google. But here's what most people don't know. Their first search engine, Backrub, was born from Larry's obsession with understanding how information connects. Picture a cramped Menlo Park garage in 1998, whiteboards covered in complex equations, the constant hum of servers that threaten to overwhelm the building's electrical system. This isn't just where Google was born. It's where Larry's unique way of seeing the world finally found its purpose. The breakthrough comes not in a moment of triumph, but in the quiet hours of the night. PageRank, the algorithm that would change everything, isn't just about finding information, it's about understanding relationships. Every link is a vote, every connection matters, and suddenly, Larry's lifelong ability to see patterns others missed becomes his greatest asset. But success brings its own challenges. As Google explodes into a global phenomenon, Larry's unconventional management style raises eyebrows. In 2001, he makes a decision that sends shockwaves through Silicon Valley, firing all project managers. It's not about control, it's about purity of vision. Engineers should talk directly to engineers. No intermediaries, no dilution of ideas. You might recognize this impulse, the desire to strip away layers of complexity until only the essential truth remains. But in Larry's case, this drive for clarity would soon face its greatest test. If you're enjoying startups, please like, subscribe, and scan the QR code for our free 7-day email course, Become an Innovation Engine. Steal exact frameworks of billion-dollar breakthroughs like Netflix and Tesla. Now, back to the episode. 2012 arrives with cruel symmetry. The man who helped the world find its voice begins losing his own. Vocal cord paralysis strikes, turning board meetings into whispered conversations. For someone who already struggled with traditional communication, it feels like a cosmic joke. But watch closely. This isn't where the story ends, it's where it transforms. Larry adapts, choosing his words with newfound precision. The limitation becomes a strength, forcing him to communicate with unprecedented clarity. The years that follow show Larry's vision expanding beyond search. Self-driving cars, artificial intelligence, life extension research. Each project shares a common thread, the desire to solve problems others consider impossible. His physical voice may be compromised, but his impact only grows louder. Think about that for a moment. How many of us let our perceived limitations define our potential? Larry's story suggests a different path. What if our greatest constraints could become our most powerful catalysts for innovation? In 2019, Larry steps back from daily operations at Google's parent company, Alphabet. But his influence resonates through every search query, every AI advancement, every ambitious moonshot project. The quiet boy who once struggled to make machines talk has transformed how humanity accesses knowledge. Here's the challenge this story presents to you. What if your perceived weaknesses, the things that make you different, the barriers you face, aren't obstacles to overcome, but instruments of change waiting to be understood? Larry Page didn't succeed despite being different. He succeeded because of it. Today, when you type a query into that famously sparse white search box, you're not just accessing information. You're participating in the legacy of someone who refused to let conventional wisdom define what was possible. Someone who turned his unique way of seeing the world into a tool that changed it forever. The question isn't whether you'll face obstacles or feel out of step with the world around you. The question is, how will you transform those challenges into your own revolution? What's your equivalent of PageRank, that unique perspective that only you can bring to the world? Remember, Larry Page didn't set out to build one of the most valuable companies in history. He simply followed his obsession with making information accessible, letting his different way of thinking guide him toward solutions others couldn't see. Your challenge isn't to be more normal, it's to be more authentically yourself. To find the place where your unique perspective intersects with the world's needs. Because sometimes the most powerful voice isn't the loudest, it's the one that dares to speak in its own distinct language. After all, in a world that increasingly values conformity, the greatest innovations often come from those who dare to be different. The question isn't whether you have a voice. The question is, how will you use it to change the world? On the next episode of Startups, Larry Page and Sergey Brin dared to dream beyond the possible, rewriting the rules of the internet itself. But what happens when a dyslexic kid, armed with nothing but sheer grit and an unyielding spirit, decides to challenge entire industries? Imagine turning perceived weaknesses into your greatest strengths, building a sprawling empire from the ground up. This week, we continue exploring risk-taking and boldness, diving into the extraordinary life of a man who turned a record store into an airline, then space tourism, and so much more. His story will inspire you to see challenges as opportunities, teaching you that the only limit is the one you set for yourself. What if I told you that the wilder the idea, the more likely it is to succeed? Prepare to have your perspective shattered. Please like, subscribe, and scan the QR code or follow the pinned link to get our free 7-day email course. Become an innovation engine. 7 days, $7 billion frameworks. Transform from idea person to startup innovator by learning the exact playbooks that built Netflix, Tesla, and SpaceX. Click the video that just popped up to watch the next one in this series. Or for episode summaries, behind-the-scenes info, and more, go to daily8.com/su. Thanks for watching.